Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
I'm Livy Dunn, All-American gymnast and Viore athlete. When you travel and train as much as I do, you find happiness where you are. On the mat or on the sand, movement and comfort are essential. That's why I live in Performance Joggers by Viore. Made from DreamKnit fabric that's made of 89% recycled materials, effortlessly soft and made to move as much as I do. My happiness starts here, in the softest joggers on the planet. Get 20% off your first purchase at viore.com/Livy. That's VUORI.com/LIVVY. Exclusions apply. Not only will you receive 20% off your first purchase, but enjoy free shipping on U.S. orders over $75 and free returns. Go to viore.com/Livy and discover the full versatility of Viore clothing. Exclusions apply. Visit the website for full terms and conditions.
So, imagine trying to protect a secret so intensely that you actually have to call in the Air Force to transport it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and you track the vehicles with military-grade GPS, you use biometric scanning for anyone even coming near it.
Right.
And you literally shut down parts of the internet, just to prevent any communication leaks.
I mean, you would think we were talking about transporting nuclear launch codes or something.
Exactly. Or highly classified state intelligence. But today, June 20th, 2026, we are actually talking about a medical school entrance exam.
It sounds like a dystopian thriller, honestly.
It really does. Welcome to today's deep dive, everyone. We have a whirlwind of a global and domestic news cycle to get through today.
And looking at the stack of sources for today, there is a very clear theme emerging. It's all about extreme pressure tests.
Yeah, pressure tests.
Right, whether it's students, political leaders, or, global supply chains. It seems like everyone and everything is being pushed to its absolute limit today.
Totally. So let's jump right into our first headline, which is the ultimate pressure test, the NEET-UG exam, and the massive protests happening right now.
Yeah, starting right at home with an issue impacting, millions of families.
The scale of this is just staggering. We're talking about the sheer volume of the education crisis here. Tomorrow, June 21st, there are 22.79 lakh candidates scheduled for the re-exam.
So that's nearly 2.3 million students?
Yeah, exactly. 2.3 million students across 551 Indian cities and 14 international locations.
Which is wild. I mean, the logistics of moving that many people through a secure, synchronized process, it's basically like coordinating the movement of a small nation's entire population in a single afternoon.
Right. And they actually had to run a nationwide mock drill today just to verify the infrastructure wouldn't completely collapse.
Because, the system already did collapse once. That's why we're here.
Exactly. The original test was canceled because of that massive paper leak, which just completely shattered public trust. So now the testing agency, the NTA, is in massive damage control mode.
Yeah, they've mobilized over 200,000 personnel.
It's unbelievable. And they're using Aadhaar-based biometric authentication to stop impersonators at the door.
Right. And they've even temporarily restricted access to Telegram in specific regions.
Oh, to physically cut the communication lines for the cheating syndicates?
Exactly. But, the detail that really sticks with me is the Indian Air Force.
I know. The Air Force is flying medical exams around.
Yeah, they were literally flying the question papers to distribution hubs.
So I have to ask, is this level of, militarized security for a civilian exam an actual sustainable solution? Or is it just a Band-Aid on a totally broken system?
Well, it's essentially the performance of absolute competence by a state that was, frankly, caught completely flat-footed.
Right. They need to look like they're doing something.
Exactly. When public trust fractures like that, the bureaucratic instinct is to replace that trust with overwhelming, highly visible force.
So the biometrics and the Air Force planes, they're just broadcasting to angry parents that the state is back in control.
Yeah, but you hit the nail on the head. It doesn't solve the underlying issue. The military can secure a piece of paper, sure, but they can't fix the systemic desperation that makes a medical seat so valuable in the first place.
The desperation that makes syndicates pay millions to steal the exam.
Exactly.
And, that desperation is exactly what is spilling out into the streets right now. The military might be guarding the paper, but the state is really struggling to manage the human fallout.
Yeah, the protests at Jantar Mantar in Delhi are massive.
Huge. They are being led by Abhijit Dipke, who founded the Cockroach Janta Party, or CJP.
Right, and they've leveraged this massive social media following, right?
Yeah, like over 2 crore followers. That's 20 million people. And they're demanding the immediate resignation of Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan.
And what's really striking about the CJP strategy here is their stamina. They organized demonstrations in 6 other major cities, first, to build momentum.
Oh, before consolidating back in Delhi.
Exactly. And they're just refusing to play by the standard bureaucratic rules.
Yeah, the standoff has been incredibly intense. The police gave them a strict 5 p.m. deadline to vacate Jantar Mantar.
And DIP submitted a handwritten request to extend it, which was obviously denied.
Right. So then the authorities shifted to a battle of attrition. Our sources say they allegedly blocked drinking water from entering the venue.
Wow.
Yeah. And once the sun went down, they completely cut the floodlights to the area.
Which is a classic crowd dispersal tactic, right? You remove visibility and comfort, and usually people just leave.
But they didn't leave. Instead, the protesters pulled out their phones, turned on their flashlights, and just illuminated the protests themselves.
That's amazing.
And then it gets crazier. Supporters started pulling out metal utensils and banging them together in the dark.
Oh, wow. Like during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Exactly. Banging utensils was that symbolic act of national unity requested by the Prime Minister back then. And here, that exact same acoustic symbol is being weaponized as an act of defiance.
The contrast there is just fascinating. On one hand, you have the NTA using cutting-edge GPS and biometric data to assert rigid control over a testing environment.
Right.
And on the other hand, you have this organic, decentralized outrage thriving in the dark with cell phone lights and pots and pans.
Yeah. Dip is basically pointing out that selective enforcement, like tracking a convoy but not holding a minister accountable, doesn't restore integrity.
Exactly. You simply cannot solve a demand for political accountability with a military escort.
Which naturally brings us to the political arena, our second headline. We're looking at political crossfire and shifting loyalties.
Right, because when a governing party faces intense domestic heat, the standard playbook is usually to change the narrative.
By exposing the opposition's internal chaos.
Exactly. And today's sources outline a very calculated attack from the BJP aimed squarely at Congress leader Rahul Gandhi.
And we should remind everyone listening, we are staying entirely neutral here. We are just analyzing the claims made in the BJP's political playbook. 100%. We're just reporting on the strategy they're using. So the narrative they are building is one of isolation and irrelevance for Gandhi?
Right. BJP spokesperson Shehzad Poonawalla came out and claimed that Gandhi is rapidly losing support within his own coalition.
Yeah, he pointed to former supporters like Ramachandra Guha allegedly distancing themselves and claimed allies like the left and the DMK are stepping back.
He actually called Gandhi a real neta, didn't he?
He did, basically implying he is just a social media politician who lacks any real on-the-ground political gravity.
It's a heavy accusation.
When you're a mid-sized business, you need every competitive advantage you can get. Like an AI solution that works for you, not against you. SAP Grow is built with AI embedded at its core, working across every system. And it's ready to go from day one, so you can hit the ground running. Bring it with SAP Grow, AI Cloud ERP for any size business.
It is, but the weapon they chose to deliver this attack is what I find so bizarre.
Oh, you mean using a quote from a senior figure within Gandhi's own party?
Yes. They are using purported remarks from Congress MP Shashi Tharoor.
Wow.
Yeah, according to the BJP's framing, Tharoor praised Prime Minister Narendra Modi's diplomatic handling of a crisis involving Indian seafarers. And this was apparently during a discussion with U.S. President Donald Trump.
Right. Poonawalla claims Tharoor openly commended Modi's vision and dynamism.
And noted how forcefully the Prime Minister articulated India's position. But, I am struggling to understand the mechanics of this strategy. How does praising the Prime Minister's foreign policy turn into a weapon against a domestic rival?
Well, it's about creating a devastating juxtaposition. In a hyper-partisan environment, foreign policy isn't just about statecraft,
Right.
It's domestic currency.
Right.
By amplifying Tharoor's supposed praise, the BJP accomplishes two things. First, they frame the prime minister as this undeniable global statesman.
Someone whose effectiveness is so absolute that even his harshest rivals have to applaud him.
Exactly. It validates his leadership from a hostile source. But the second, and probably more damaging effect, is what it does to Rahul Gandhi's image.
Because if a highly respected intellectual in your own party is praising your opponent, it looks bad.
Right. It signals a profound lack of internal discipline and ideological cohesion. The BJP is essentially telling the public, how can this man lead the nation when he can't even convince his top lieutenants to stop praising the prime minister?
It's a calculated move to frame the opposition as fundamentally disjointed.
Precisely.
But, that narrative about saving Indian seafarers is a potent talking point, but it's not just an abstract concept. Which brings us to our third headline: geopolitical whiplash in the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah, for the crew members navigating those waters right now, that maritime danger is their literal, minute-by-minute reality.
It really is. The global maritime situation they're operating in just went through a staggering 48 hours of chaos.
It's a textbook example of how fragile the arteries of global commerce really are.
Let's lay out the timeline for everyone, because the window of safety was terrifyingly narrow. Today, June 20th, 3 Indian-flagged crude oil tankers safely navigated through the Strait of Hormuz.
And those were the Desh Vaibhav, the Desh Vipur, and the Sanmar Herald, right?
Yes, massive vessels. They are carrying a combined 8.6 lakh metric tons of crude oil back to Indian ports, manned by 94 Indian crew members.
Wow. Getting those ships through is just absolutely critical for India's energy infrastructure.
Oh, completely. But the only reason they got through was because of a sudden diplomatic breakthrough. Just 2 days ago, on June 18th, U.S. President Donald Trump lifted the American blockade on Iran.
He signed a sanctions waiver, right?
Yeah, as part of this highly anticipated interim deal to de-escalate the regional war. In exchange for lifting the blockade, Iran agreed to dilute its stockpile of highly enriched uranium,
Which was heralded as a major step toward normalization and securing global trade routes.
But that normalization lasted hours, not weeks.
Barely a blip.
Right. Almost immediately after those 3 Indian tankers cleared the waterway, the door violently slammed shut behind them. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy mobilized and closed the Strait of Hormuz once again.
So the interim agreement collapsed before the ink was even dry.
Exactly. And the trigger for this sudden closure is what I find so dizzying. The sources point to Israeli military strikes in Lebanon.
Right. Lebanese authorities reported 16 people killed on Saturday and 83 on Friday.
Yeah, and Israel claims they launched the strikes because Hezbollah violated a ceasefire agreement by firing over 50 projectiles into their territory.
And then Hezbollah countered, right, claiming Israel is fabricating the attacks to sabotage the U.S. Iran normalization deal.
Yes. And Iran watched this happen, declared the strikes in Lebanon a fundamental breach of the broader U.S.-Israel ceasefire commitments, and instantly shut down the strait. But, I feel like I'm missing a step here.
How so?
Mechanically, how does a regional strike in the Levant instantly close a waterway in the Persian Gulf thousands of miles away?
Well, you have to look at this through the lens of a geopolitical tripwire. Iran operates through this vast network of proxy relationships, right?
Right.
And Hezbollah in Lebanon is one of their most critical allies. Iran rarely seeks direct military confrontation because it's costly. Their ultimate leverage is asymmetrical, and their biggest asset is the Strait of Hormuz.
Because so much oil passes through it.
Exactly. Over 20% of the world's daily oil consumption. So when Israel strikes Hezbollah, Iran perceives that as an attack on its own strategic depth. By closing the strait, Iran takes a localized conflict in Lebanon and instantaneously transforms it into a global economic crisis.
Wow. So they literally use economics as a weapon of war.
Yes. They know the United States desperately needs that oil to keep flowing to prevent a spike in energy prices. Shutting the strait forces Washington to heavily pressure Israel to halt operations in Lebanon. It's brilliant, but incredibly dangerous.
It's an economic chokehold to dictate military outcomes, and the diplomatic scramble following this is pure chaos.
Oh, I'm sure.
President Trump is now threatening to impose massive tolls on the waterway. U.S. envoys Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner have rushed to Switzerland for emergency talks.
And Vice President J.D. Vance is flying out to join them, right?
Yep. Pakistan has even stepped in to host technical-level negotiations. It is just a stark reminder that an Indian energy supply chain can be completely severed by a single rocket fired in Lebanon.
And when global economic arteries are squeezed like this, Unpredictability becomes the defining trait of international relations. Leaders are forced to rapidly change how they project power.
This episode is brought to you by San Pellegrino Ciao. A gift from Italy to your home. San Pellegrino Ciao is a flavored sparkling water made with real fruit juice, finished with a pinch of Sicilian salt for a perfectly balanced taste. So which flavor will you choose? Peach, lime, blood orange, cherry, or maybe the all-new limoncello? Crafted in Italy with 0 grams of added sugar. San Pellegrino Ciao. Buy it now.
Which is a perfect segue to our fourth headline: redrawing diplomatic lines at the G7 and between India and Pakistan.
We are definitely seeing a distinct shift in diplomatic posturing across the board.
We are. Leaders are actively redrawing their boundaries, often in surprisingly aggressive ways. A perfect example is playing out at the G7 summit in France right now.
With Italy's Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni.
Yes, she just unexpectedly broke ranks with President Trump. And historically, Meloni has been viewed as a strong ideological ally to Trump, right? Like a conservative leader who aligned with his populist politics and avoided direct confrontation.
Right. The contrast drawn in the sources is actually with Spain's Pedro Sanchez, who openly uses Trump's criticism to bolster his own domestic standing. Up until now, Meloni had carefully avoided that kind of friction.
But suddenly, she is asserting Italian interests in a way that directly provokes Washington. And we are seeing a similar hardening of diplomatic armor from India.
Yeah, the Ministry of External Affairs, the MEA, just delivered an exceptionally blistering public statement.
They really did. The MEA spokesperson, Ranveer Jaiswal, categorically rejected recent comments made by Pakistan President Asif Ali Zardari regarding Kashmir.
And the diplomatic vocabulary used in that statement was intensely aggressive.
Jaiswal explicitly called Zardari's remarks absurd. He stated that Pakistan has absolutely zero locus standi, meaning that they have no recognized legal right or authority to even comment on India's internal matters.
Right. But the MEA didn't just dismiss the comments. They went on the offensive.
They totally did. Jaiswal highlighted Pakistan's notorious and historically documented record of systematically targeting and victimizing its own minority populations. He framed Zardari's criticism of India as hypocritical bigotry.
It is a profound escalation in rhetoric.
But I mean, is this kind of blistering statement actually meant to persuade Pakistan to change its decades-old policy on Kashmir? Or is this just diplomatic theater for the voters back home?
It's primarily narrative deterrence. And it operates on the exact same psychological mechanism as Giorgia Meloni picking a fight with Donald Trump.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, in modern diplomacy, unpredictability is increasingly being used as a weapon. Meloni recognized that being a quiet, reliable ally to an unpredictable leader like Trump actually makes Italy look subservient and weak on the global stage.
Right.
By deliberately picking a fight, she isn't just breaking with a policy. She's using Trump as a prop to signal Italian strength and autonomy.
She is proving she cannot be bullied.
Precisely. And India's MEA is doing the exact same thing. No diplomat in New Delhi expects a press release to alter Islamabad's strategic objectives regarding Kashmir.
Right, obviously not.
But by immediately launching a counteroffensive regarding human rights abuses, India accomplishes 2 goals. Domestically, it reassures the public that the state is uncompromising.
And internationally?
Internationally, it preemptively delegitimizes Pakistan's standing to raise the issue at all. It's all about controlling the narrative landscape before the opponent can even plant a flag.
That makes a lot of sense. So we've spent this entire discussion looking at how states and institutions desperately try to manufacture and maintain control, right?
Yeah, whether through military escorts for exams, economic chokeholds in the ocean, or aggressive diplomatic press releases.
Exactly. So let's pivot to our fifth and final headline, which is a space where we see what happens when control completely, spectacularly evaporates in real time. Cricket dramas.
Yes, on the cricket pitch today, we are seeing 2 teams struggling with totally different types of systemic collapse.
Let's look at the Women's T20 World Cup in Southampton first. Pakistan's tournament run is officially over after suffering their 3rd consecutive loss, this time falling to Bangladesh by 23 runs.
And, the architecture of that loss is what makes it so devastating for the team.
It really is, because it started as a dominant performance. Bangladesh had a disastrous opening sequence they were reeling at 13 for 3.
Yeah, Pakistan's captain, Fatima Sana and Tasmir Rubab, had completely dismantled the top order.
But then Bangladesh stabilized. Shorna Akhtar came to the crease and just unleashed this explosive high-risk assault. She hit an unbeaten 39 off just 22 balls.
Wow.
Yeah, and she dragged Bangladesh to a defensible total of 123 for 6. Now, 123 is a chaseable target, and Pakistan started strong with an opening partnership of 49. They had the momentum.
Right, but then the pitch conditions shifted and the spinners took over. This is where the strategic trap was sprung by Nahida Akhtar and Sanjita Akhtar Meghla.
They absolutely choked the run rate. Despite Muniba Ali trying to anchor the innings with a solid 25, the pressure simply broke the middle order. Pakistan lost 8 wickets for a measly 35 runs.
It is brutal.
I just want to understand the mechanics of this. How does a team of professional, world-class athletes go from cruising at...
Adobe Firefly is the all-in-one creative studio with AI-powered image and video editing for today's creative process. Built for creators of every kind, Firefly helps you generate, edit, and experiment fast. Because the asks aren't getting smaller, the budgets aren't getting bigger, and the timelines, oh yeah, still tight. With all the best creative AI models in one place, Firefly brings your ideas to life. Unlock a better way to make with Adobe Firefly.
49 for no loss to completely disintegrating against spin bowling in a matter of overs.
Well, it's the anatomy of a panic cascade.
A panic cascade.
Yeah. When spinners like Nahida and Sanjita begin to find grip and turn on the pitch, they don't just restrict runs, they restrict oxygen. In a T20 chase, the required run rate is like a ticking clock in the batter's mind.
Right.
When the boundaries dry up, the batters are forced to manufacture shots that aren't naturally there. So the first wicket falls to a forced error.
And then the pressure just mounts.
Exactly. The incoming batter feels the compounded pressure of the rising run rate and the immediate loss of their partner, which leads to another high-risk shot. It becomes this psychological domino effect where the physical skill of the batter is entirely overridden by the situational panic.
It's a total loss of environmental control, which is a fascinating contrast to the Indian men's team, where Captain Shubman Gill is facing a totally different kind of systemic pressure ahead of the England ODI series.
Right. He has what he's calling a good headache.
A very good headache.
Yeah.
It is the problem of having a surplus of elite resources in a system with limited capacity. The team has a fierce bottleneck for exactly one opening slot.
Let's look at the candidates, because it's quite a lineup.
It is. You have the veteran icon, Rohit Sharma, who just posted a commanding 79. You have Ishan Kishan, who is coming fresh off a century.
And then you have the absolute phenomenon of Yashasvi Jaiswal.
Yes. Who has struck 2 centuries in his last 3 ODI appearances. His momentum is terrifying. But the issue is structural, right? Virat Kohli was rested for the previous Afghanistan series, which allowed the team to shuffle the batting order.
But when Kohli returns for the England series,
he reclaims his absolute lock on the number 3 spot. That forces Shubman Gill back up the order to open, leaving Rohit, Ishan, and Jaiswal fighting for a single chair.
it's a tough spot for management.
Extremely. When you are managing a high-performance system like this, how do you mathematically weigh the seasoned, intangible value of a legend like Rohit Sharma against the undeniable, red-hot statistical momentum of a rookie like Jaiswal?
This is the eternal tension in talent management, really. Predictability versus potential. Statistical momentum, like Jaiswal's back-to-back centuries, is loud. It demands inclusion, because you want to capitalize on a player when their reaction times and confidence are operating at peak efficiency.
Of course you do.
However, international cricket, especially heading into foreign conditions like England, where the ball swings and the pitches are unpredictable, often punishes raw momentum.
Ah, so management leans toward the known quantity.
Exactly. The value of a veteran like Rohit Sharma isn't just in the runs he scores. It is in his established floor.
Yeah.
Team management knows exactly how he will react when the team is, say, 10 for 2. Under cloudy skies at Lord's.
He has the psychological calluses to absorb that specific pressure.
Right, he can stabilize the environment and protect the middle order. A young player, no matter how talented, introduces an element of volatility. The terrifying question for the selectors is whether Jaiswal's ceiling has simply become so high that leaving him out is a bigger risk than benching a stabilizing veteran.
Wow. What a profound journey through the mechanics of control we have taken today.
It really has been.
We started by examining the extreme, almost dystopian logistics of the Indian Air Force guarding medical exam papers, while thousands of students bang metal utensils in the dark.
Yeah.
We analyzed how political rivals use international diplomatic praise to fracture their opponents at home. We charted the incredibly fragile proxy networks of the Middle East, where Indian oil tankers slipped through a geopolitical doorway just hours before a rocket in Lebanon slammed it shut.
And we watched global leaders aggressively redraw diplomatic boundaries to project strength.
Right. And finally, we explore the psychological collapse and talent bottlenecks on the cricket pitch.
You know, every single one of these stories forces us to confront a very uncomfortable reality about the systems we rely on.
But what's that?
Well, we want to believe that our institutions, whether it's a nationwide testing apparatus, the flow of global energy, or a finely tuned athletic roster, we want to believe they are robust, orderly, and entirely under our jurisdiction.
But the architecture of these systems is actually incredibly delicate.
It is. From the biometric scanners to the Strait of Hormuz, security has never been more deeply interconnected, and therefore never more vulnerable to sudden shocks.
That's so true.
It really leaves us with a critical question to consider as you, our listeners, go about your day. In a world where a single leaked exam paper can force the mobilization of a nation's military, and a single localized skirmish can instantly choke off an ocean of resources, how much control does any nation or any individual truly have over their own stability?
Wow. That is a haunting, brilliant thought to end on. Thank you for joining us as we mapped out these pressure points today. Keep questioning the systems around you, stay curious, and keep diving deep.